Thank you very much for staying with us here on The New Dawn. And like I said earlier on, this particular morning we'll be having a conversation surrounding the state of the nation. Even as the KCSE examinations enters its second day, there are new raft of measures put in place by the ministry to try and ensure that they curb exam malpractice here in the country. Will it be a successful move? And there are other new measures, including, of course, the reduction of exams done per day from 3 to 2. Candidates will now be sitting for an exam from 8 to around 10 or 10:30. Then they rest all the way to the afternoon. Then they'll do an exam paper from 2 to 4 or to 4:30. That is, of course, one of the new things that have been introduced by the education docket. As well, apart from that, there are other emerging issues here in the country, including the race to succeed Professor Kindiki as the Interior CS just 3 days after he was sworn in as the country's third deputy president under the 2010 Constitution. There are several figures who, of course, are lining up to see whether they will be picked by President or rather appointed by President William Ruto to take over that particular docket. And it's not just the Interior docket which is lying, which is not, doesn't have a substantial office holder at the moment, but as well the gender docket. Remember, the nomination of Stella Soy was rejected by the committee that was vetting her when the president, of course, sent home his entire cabinet and reappointed new ones. As well, there are questions whether the president might yet again reshuffle his cabinet to try and see whether he can accommodate one Aaron Barre Duale in the Interior docket, or whether ODM will nominate someone to that particular docket. Remember, they already have at least around 5 slots in the cabinet. But before that, we'll be looking at what is making headlines in the local dailies this particular morning. And joining me are my 2 guests, and starting with Honorable Peter Herrera. Very good morning to you.
Morning to you, and thank you for inviting us here today.
It's been a minute. How are the people of Kibra?
Kibra, we are Gangari. Gangari means we are okay. We are just looking at the state of politics in this country and the state of the nation. And also what is happening. You know, now we are doing KCSE, the exams, yes, CAPSEA and KCSE. And the mood of the country now is calm. And I think we are hoping that after the exams, even the political temperatures will also go down after a while. Well, fair enough, hopefully. Yeah, hopefully.
Well, as well, joining me this morning is Honorable Wilson Sossion. A very good morning to you, Mr. Sossion.
Yeah, good morning, and good morning, our viewers.
It's been a minute.
Indeed, it's been a week, not a minute.
It's a pleasure.
And a week is a long period.
It's a pleasure to have you this morning. Thank you very much for being with us here this morning.
Yes.
Now, let me just start straight with you. And there's a story, I believe, in the Standard, and I don't want to talk about what is on the front page first, because it will also form basis of our conversation this particular morning. The issue of the president's sentiments yesterday during the Supreme Court at 12 conference. But on the top left, there's a story on the Assembly and Demonstrations Bill that is being fronted by Beira North Member of Parliament Geoffrey Ruku. That is a bill that seeks to restrict those engaging in protests to certain areas, restricting them from certain areas, including public government installations, major highways. I don't know what do you make of that particular bill? You know,
I'm a professor of demonstrations and organized actions, and that right is granted by the Constitution, by the dint of Article 237, right to peaceably and unarmed to demonstrate and to picket. Since that was granted in 2010 Constitution, sometimes we have insecure demonstrations. You don't know who is actually demonstrating and who is not. Wanton destruction of businesses, and a rather defined quotes demonstration become violent actions where lives are lost and property is lost. All the provisions in the Constitution should be enabled via statutes and via laws. And I think what Honorable Ruku is proposing is very progressive. It's not limiting, but it is guiding. And we have seen in civilized democracies of other jurisdictions, like for example in South Africa, where there is the largest workforce called COSATU. And they would pick just a single day and demonstrate state by state, communicate a clear message that influences, that make people think. And you can see the organized actions, it is defined, the routes are defined, even the uniform, the branding of the demonstrators is done, the message is clear, and they just do a demonstration one day, and it does make a lot of sense. What we did in Kenya is that we gave it a blanket provision in the Constitution without developing pieces of legislation that guides on how do you do it, how then do you do it. If today Orero wants to organize demonstration over a certain grievance of his particular group of workers, say chemistry teachers of Kenya, then those chemistry teachers must define, they will be working from which point to which point. They will be dressed in this particular manner. They will notify the police. They will be protected by the police. They will hand over their grievances and petition to a particular office at a certain time. And that is how demonstrations are conducted internationally, standard practice, but not violence. What we have been witnessing here, where people just wake up, throw stones, block highways, and the others, the thugs take advantage to break into businesses. Those are not demonstrations. That is pure vandalism, and that is pauperism. The Constitution did not intend to promote pauperism and vandalism and criminal action. It intended to promote genuine voices of people. And I think this law is good. Parliamentarians should treat it well, take it through public participation, as we are a country of public participation. Fair enough. And then we come up with a good law that is a good law. That even when it is tested in a court of law, it can pass the test.
Thank you. Honorable Orero, I don't know what you make of that particular bill. Does it infringe on the freedom of expression? Because the Constitution talks about people can assemble peacefully.
I think the person bringing that motion is a close friend of mine, Ruku. But we will be at variance. I am sure that I will oppose that motion in Parliament because it is within our rights as Kenyan citizens to hold demonstration. And most of the time, you'll find that as much as the Kenyans want to stick within the parameters required for the demonstration, it is our state agents, and one of those agents, the police, the GSU, and most recently, we also saw the forces coming to quell demonstrations. I have been involved in many demonstrations since I was a youth, a young person. And my intention my intention has always been to show my displeasure on certain things. And I have always been unarmed. And some people always think that demonstrators always carry stones. No. But it is the intimidation from certain agencies that provoke the demonstrators maybe to destroy certain property, which is not right. People must not destroy property of the others. That is not now demonstration. But because of the interference by certain agencies within the government, mostly the police, they normally provoke peaceful demonstrators. We have seen the doctors demonstrating very, very peacefully, and then somebody has tear gas at the doctors a very peaceful demonstration. The last time I saw the teachers demonstrating, that is Kupet, they were demonstrating very, very peacefully. Then you find the police coming to interfere with the demonstration, which is enshrined in the Constitution, Article 237 of the Constitution, which allows peaceful demonstration. Picketing is allowed. But even this public participation, it will reach a time that the police might interfere with it. So we are not sure whether we'll uphold the Constitution. And I think stifling the rights of people, the freedom of expression in terms of demonstration, is belittling our mature democracy. This country is, we have seen our democracy being tested in various ways and capacities. But if we want to introduce certain clauses within the Constitution or acts, then we are stifling the democracy that we have really struggled to acquire. And looking at the 2010 Constitution, this is one of the few things that brought about revolution in terms of constitutional changes in the 2010 Constitution. And that is why it was included in Article 237, to allow people to demonstrate and bring certain changes. You know, demonstration comes with when we have certain rules which stifle the expression of a given group of people. So it is a way of showing displeasure, especially to the government, and also asking the government to correct its ways. So when Ruku brings this motion in Parliament, I am one of those legislators who will vigorously and furiously oppose it in the Assembly.
Fair enough. Mr. Susion, let us cross over to the People Daily. And the headline on the People Daily is 20 hospitals where you are likely to die. Now, it's a story on page 4. And let me just sample some of the hospitals. And this is according to a report by Nancy Gathungu, who's, of course, the Auditor General. And they say among the hospitals indicted by Gathungu include Moroni County, level 4 in Kisumu, Molo level 5 in Nakuru County, Mbita level 4 in Homa Bay County, Sambweni County Referral Hospital in Kwale, Mukurweini sub-county level 4 in Nyeri, Mandera County Referral Hospital, Makueni County Referral Hospital, Muranga level 5, Migosi sub-county in Kisumu, and of course Machakos level 5 in Machakos County. Some of the issues that they're raising is, you know, there are few doctors, expired drugs. Some of these facilities don't even have, you know, basic amenities like water and drainage systems. I mean, these are very, very serious concerns at a time when we are, the government is even struggling in a way to implement the shift rollout.
Even as we shift gears, I would like to plead with Honorable Rero here that we cannot be a dismissive society. As a society that listens to opinion of others, it is good to listen. And so bills that come to Parliament that are progressive, that are meant to allow the Constitution work in a better way, I think should be given a chance. But of course, you enjoy your democratic right. Let me ask you, before you respond. Yes.
You said we cannot be a dismissive society. We must, you know, listen to the opinions of others. We're talking about a bill that is trying to limit people from expressing their opinions.
No, you see, it is not limiting. Those are your own words. Those are your words. It is guiding. Those are your words. And I've given you global examples. The word limiting is used by you. And probably that word has influenced Honorable Herrero to develop a wrong orientation of thinking. But from where I am and respect, I am one person who believes in demonstrations. I have led them myself. And I don't think I would have allowed teachers in demonstrations to be infiltrated by non-teachers who had other ulterior motives. No, it is not. So, the fact of the matter is, if a bill is coming to Parliament, it will go through the requisite process, public participation, debates in the House, arguments and all that.
During his vetting to become the CS for Interior, the now Deputy President, Professor Kithure Kindiki, said one of the things that he wanted to oversee is, you know, designating areas where citizens can demonstrate. Correct. Where would you designate areas?
And by the way, when he's talking like that, that is an international lawyer who knows what human rights is all about. And I share a cup of tea with him on that one, because you must designate where people can demonstrate so that they can do it freely without any interference, so that you don't interfere. You don't go demonstrating.
And throughout his 2 years in the office, he never in his 2 years designated those areas of demonstration.
This bill was brought about
but you see that he could not do it unless there is a law, and that law has to be developed in Parliament, and people have to discuss. You cannot demonstrate everywhere. You must designate. Even when you go to the White House, because I've been to the White House several times, and I ask you, Ketany, visit the White House. There is a frontier in the White House, a fence, where you are allowed to demonstrate throughout, from morning to evening, and you are protected, and you are given security. That is how we need to pick it as a democracy. So there is nothing wrong with having a law that makes Article 237 work better. That is a problem of Parliament. Let's come back to the healthcare, which you've raised, because I think you've raised a very pertinent question. Continue. Because of time, we don't have time to discuss other things to infinity. Let them deal with it. Now, the 20 facilities that have been pointed as potential death zone.
Yeah, because they say 20 hospitals where you're likely to die.
Yeah, where you are likely to die. If we believe that the press is reporting objectively, and I want to believe that the press is reporting on behalf of citizens, I don't think as a country it is right for us to defend and protect mistakes.
Talking about objectivity, this is according to a report by the Auditor General.
Correct.
Yes.
Yes, that is what I'm saying. Yes, if it is indeed backed by the Auditor General's report, that's an independent office. And that behoves all of us. As we talk of rolling out universal health coverage, I think there is need for all of us to apply our minds and respond very effectively to even reports of the Comptroller and Auditor General. I dare say the health sector for a long time has been dogged by corruption flagships all over, at the facility level, at the insurance cash transfer level, and therefore part of it is inefficiencies in handling patients, where patients sometimes are even left to die. So I think that's an eye-opener, and there are governors from those counties. I don't see what the governor is doing right now in any part of the country if they are not concentrating in the rollout of universal health care coverage and superintending the efficient delivery of services in those facilities, and using the resources, the taxpayers' money, to hire enough staff and procure drugs for the facilities. The procurement of drugs to public facilities in all jurisdictions is under the county government. It is the responsibility of the county government. Under Schedule 4 of the Constitution, it is devolved, and they're given money. So really, such information is good for all of us, so that we look at the state of our health care. And you see, we've undermined quality delivery of health care systems in this country for a long time, so that we can promote private enterprise of healthcare provision, which is a mistake.
Fair enough.
The universal health coverage should herald an era of quality and world-class delivery of healthcare services through public facilities.
Thank you very much.
No question about it.
Thank you very much.
And I don't think anybody would defend such a fact that even is backed by the Comptroller and Auditor General. Fair
enough. Honorable Rero, as a legislator, I mean, this raises alarm, because if over 20 facilities are flagged as very, very dangerous for you to visit and seek health services, and then it paints a very, very sorry state of affairs. I don't know what you make of this particular report.
Of course, that is a genuine report from the Office of the Auditor General. When I look back before the 2010 Constitution, where we did not have devolution, I look at the health facilities that we had and what we have now. One of the devolved functions is health care. When we look at it, it is not fully devolved. you would realize that the central government, the national government, still wants to have almost a total control of the health care of our system. It brings the devolved units, that is the counties, at crossroads with the national government. They are always at variance because most of the functions of the health care is still controlled by the national government. But we must, at this time, support devolution so that some of these hospitals, you say level 4 hospital, before a facility is given a level 4 status, it means that they must have done homework and found out that this facility has enough drugs, this facility has enough doctors, the nurses, and what it takes to be a level 4 with the capacity. But also look at the regions where these hospitals are. Are they in all the regions, or they are in specific regions or different regions in this country? It means that certain regions are not reaping the fruits of devolution. When you look at it, it is not spread throughout the country. It is in certain areas. So we are asking that our government, the national government, must completely devolve the health care, allow the governance, and allow the people of this country to run the health unit. We must not be controlling. Look at where we have the scandals of the healthcare. We have big scandals. So I think these are some of the things which contribute to the hospitals where we say if you go, the probability of coming back alive is almost 0. This also brings the idea of change of NHIF to SHIF. Is it seamless? Do people get the required treatment or as they are expected? Has the NHIF been seamlessly coordinated with the SHAF? I have seen on papers that people go for treatment. They can stay for 2 days because their names are not on the rolls. They have no facilities. People who have who need the dialysis, they cannot be given this treatment.
In fact, you have to pay in cash.
You must pay in cash. You can imagine somebody who needs dialysis. His life is at a threshold. They can die anytime. So we must, as a government, take responsibility. We must look at ways of supporting some of these units as hospitals. We must form a special team to ensure that the change of NHIF to SHIF is seamless. People must be treated. Kenyans, we are a democratic country. We have been there for over 60 years. We got independence so that as a country we can take care of our citizens. One of the major things is about healthcare, apart from education and a few other things. So those areas which need a government's eye is the healthcare. If you don't have a healthy nation, then how do you expect to grow the economy if the nation is not healthy? So I think the most important area that the government must shift its eye to is about the healthcare. People are crying. I have seen teachers, these are lecturers demonstrating because one of the greatest things that they don't have is about the healthcare. You find that the lecturers, their statutory deductions are not remitted, so they go to the hospitals and they cannot be treated. So as a Kenyan nation, we must look at healthcare at another level. So I think that is my opinion, that we must shift our gears towards the healthcare. We must have a healthy nation so that we can develop our economy.
Fair enough. Because of time, we can't be able to look at all the stories, but some of the stories in the dailies this particular morning includes the historic poll. The Daily Nation do call it the historic poll. Taifa Leo saying nani atatamba. Of course, this is in regards to the United States presidential elections, which is slated to kick off to be held today on the 5th of November 2024. We'll be, of course, talking about that as well later on, including the issue of judicial overreach and who will address the issues of judicial overreach if at all it happens. That was a statement by President William Ruto in what looked like a veiled attack on the judiciary, which is an independent arm of the government. Just like the executive, and the legislature. That will be after this brief breather. Don't go away.
When it's a Saturday, there's only one entertainment show in East and Central Africa. Arena 254. Join Aisha Wanjiku and Tony Mwirigi for all the artistic interviews fused with amazing entertainment conversation.